Hello, I'm Jerry Fort. I'm going to read a short story out of this book from Michael Teitelbaum. It's called The Scary States of America, 50 Weird and Terrifying Stories from one from each state based on true events. Okay, if you are into paranormal and you collect books about it, pick you up a copy of this and support the author. Okay, I have been starting off with the states I've lived in. I've lived in a few. I already done Colorado. I've done Iowa, where I was born. I've done Oklahoma, where I live now. I did South Carolina, where I used to live when I was a young man. I also lived in Arkansas. I was there for maybe two years, something like that. I wasn't there for like real long, a couple years, but I was there. I lived there. So let's see what a story from Arkansas says. Let's see. That's probably up front with the A's. Yeah. Page 19. There it is. Living shadows. Living shadows. Shadows that live. It's amazing how many other kids across the country are into the paranormal. I love hearing from kids who seem to be just as into all this stuff as me. In parentheses, well, almost as much. I've traded stories with these other paranormal junkies, and one of the first friends I made was Freak Boy 479 from Helena, Arkansas. Here's an email he sent me. Subject: Shadow People. Here's a conversation. Oh, excuse me. Hey, Jay. Dude, you gotta check out the shadow people. Have you ever seen one? Like, you catch something moving out of the corner of your eye, then you look at the spot where you thought you saw it, only to see there's nothing there. Or you see a dark shape moving across the wall, and you wonder who in your family is making the shadow. And then you remember that you are home alone. Anyway, I helped my friend Tyler write down this experience he had so we could send it to you. Don't worry, I made him promise he wasn't making any of it up. Peace out. My friend Aaron, in parentheses, who I guess you know as Freak Boy, made me swear on my mother's life that this story is true, so you can trust me. I was babysitting my 3-year-old brother, Wesley, not too long ago. My folks were out for the evening. I was hanging out in my room, listening to music, when I started to feel like someone was watching me. It was so weird. I didn't see anything. I had just had this totally creeped out feeling. I popped my earbuds out and slid down to the foot of the bed. I turned my head slowly, looking back over my shoulder. I could swear I saw something move in the corner. I blinked hard a couple of times and rubbed my eyes. When I opened them again, whatever I thought I had seen was gone. That was really weird, I thought. But as I went to slip my earbuds back in, I heard a noise out in the hall. It sounded like something was banging on the walls. What the heck? I said out loud. If that's Wesley causing trouble. I slid off my bed, stood up, and pressed my back against the wall of my room, inching slowly toward the door. I knew I'd feel silly if it was my brother banging around in the hall, but I still had that creepy feeling. I took 2 deep breaths and then swung out into the hallway. Boy, did I feel dumb. There was no one there. Nice going, Tyler, I thought. You can't be home without Mom and Dad for even a couple of hours without freaking out. I shook my head and went back into my room. That's when I saw it again. This time, out of the corner of my eye, a short, dark figure crouched beside my bed. Oh, there goes a good night's sleep. I backed away, staring at the shadow. "Who are you?" I cried. I couldn't be sure it even had the shape of a person. For a second, it looked like an ordinary shadow, but in the next second, it morphed into a swirling mist. Again, I backed toward the door, keeping my eyes locked on the thing near my bed. Then it moved, coming toward me slowly, flowing like smoke. I turned and bolted from my room. But the thing, whatever it was, flashed by above my head and streaked across the ceiling. Streaked? Across the ceiling? Streaked means it was naked. Streaking is running naked through the streets, streaking. I stopped short as I entered the hall in time to see it fly down the stairs. Whoa. I peered over the hallway railing, but saw nothing. I waited for what felt like hours before I moved. Then I paced the hallway, afraid to go back into my room and afraid to go downstairs. What was that thing? Could I have imagined it all? I glanced at the closed door of my brother's room. At least whatever it was hadn't gone in there. Grabbing a baseball bat from my room, I slowly made my way downstairs, my eyes wide open. At the bottom of the stairs, I held my breath and stepped into the living room with that bat raised, ready to strike. Nothing. Maybe it left the house. Squee, squee, squee. That's what it says. It says squee. I'm not making that up. I jumped into the air at the sound of my parakeet. Oh, it's making that noise. Okay. Groucho, squawking like a maniac from his cage in the family room. Could the thing be in there? I slowly walked toward the entrance to the room. It was dark, and I sure wasn't going in there blind. Reaching my hand into the room, I switched on the light. Groucho was quiet now. I scanned the room, looking for any sign of the intruder, but it was empty. I was about to head upstairs when our cat, Lincoln, dashed into the den and began hissing. His fur stood on end and his tail puffed up like it was ready for a fight. But still, I saw nothing. "What is it, Lincoln, buddy?" I said, kneeling down to pet him. "What do you see?" He hissed at me and ran from the room. Then I caught a glimpse of a speeding black shape ducking out of the den. I'm kind of getting some goosebumps here, some little chillers on my skin. Can you see that? Probably can't see it. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. I hurried to the door, stepped out of the den, and found myself staring at the shadowy figure, which hovered just inches from my face. I froze, the bat hanging limply at my side. I had the strange sensation of making eye contact with the thing, even though it had no eyes or any kind of discernible face. As I stood there, it seemed to be sizing me up, plotting its next move. We stayed frozen in place, the floating black shape and me, for about 20 seconds. Then the thing seemed to panic. It dashed along the wall and climbed up toward the ceiling. Then it floated back up the stairs. "It's after Wesley." I rushed after the thing, no longer worried about my own safety. I could only think of what it might do to my little brother. At the top of the stairs, the shadow figure turned back toward me. It seemed to grow bold then, and it locked me in its blank, eyeless gaze. Once again, I was frozen where I stood. As the creature stared at me, I felt a growing sense of menace, as if the shadow being now meant to do me harm. This was no mere curiosity. It was the longest 30 seconds of my life. The shadow thing started toward me. Panic flooded my guts. I began sweating, trying to get my feet to move, but they wouldn't obey. It was going to get me, and after that, it would go for Wesley. If only I could lift that bat. But I wasn't sure hitting this thing would do any good. That's when Lincoln tore up the stairs and ran right past me, hissing and spitting. At the sight of the cat, the shadow creature released me from its stare and sprinted along the wall toward the window at the far end of the hallway. It paused at the window, turned and looked back at me. Then it vanished. Was it gone? Would it come back? Tyler? A little voice said behind me. Oh no. How much had Wesley seen? I need a glass of water, Tyler, Wesley said, rubbing his eyes with one hand and clutching his stuffed bunny in the other. Water? I said, breaking into a smile. You got it, Wes. You go back to bed. I'll bring it right in. A little while later, my folks came home. Everything okay, Ty? Mom asked. Sure, I said, a bit too enthusiastically. Why wouldn't it be? She kissed me and headed upstairs to check on Wesley. Ty, she called a few minutes later. Uh-oh, maybe Wes did see something. Come up here and look at this, Mom said. I hurried up the stairs and found her standing at the window at the end of the hallway. How did this happen, she asked. It was clean this morning. My eyes opened wide at the sight of 2 small handprints on the hallway window. That's how it ends. 2 small handprints. Freaky, huh? I mean, would you, if you experienced something like that, would you feel comfortable ever by yourself in a house like that? I mean, you had your little brother there, but it sounds like he was in bed, so that'd be pretty freaky. Okay, there you go. The Scary States of America. 50 weird and terrifying stories, one from each state, based on true events, by Michael Teitelbaum. Get you a copy for yourself. Put in your collection of paranormal books. Support the author. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one. Bye.